Hey guys, it's Rico Nasol, and I'm back to talk about imposter syndrome. I want to double click from the last video that I did to give a little bit more detail and how I've experienced it in my life and the tips that I really have to help you all get through imposter syndrome and sort of the mental health. So I've had a lot of successes in my life, and not as a humble brag, but more to give context. You know, whether it was creating video descriptions in e-commerce or introducing video on entertainment platforms or using computer vision and machine learning to help creative assistants, things like that. All the times that I've been creating these tools and new things, I've always thought to myself that I wasn't good enough or wasn't smart enough. There's this graphic I'd like to show people where they ask, "How are you doing?" And in my head, I'm like, oh, I suck. I'm not that smart. When are you going to find me out? I'm not as talented as you think I am. All the things that go into the self-doubt. But none of that really matters, right? It doesn't affect who I am. But for the longest time in my career, and I've been, leading teams for over 17 years, I always have this self-doubt. So let me talk about like some of the symptoms that are imposter syndrome, because maybe you have it, but you haven't been able to identify it. The first symptom is you feel lucky versus talented. That feeling that like, oh, I was just at the right spot at the right time, or someone else's idea, or like something that you don't take credit for, you feel like you're lucky and not talented. Number two, your self-worth is based on your perception of yourself. So this is about the stories that we tell ourselves and the narratives that we make up in our head. There may not be evidence of this, but in your head, if you're telling yourself you're not good enough, that starts to be what you actually think about yourself. Needing to be a perfectionist. A lot of people, I see this and hear this in interviews. I ask, I don't ask this question anymore because I really know the answers, but when you ask, oh, what's your biggest weakness? Oh, it's because I'm a perfectionist. And that sense of perfection, one, it doesn't exist. So we should stop trying to achieve perfection. But the idea that every detail has to be just right, everything has to be just right, that is a symptom of imposter syndrome too. The fourth symptom that I see is sacrificing yourself to get more work done. So we've all kind of seen this, the person that stays late, works extra hard, goes above and beyond what the ask is. Lots of times when people are doing that, it's because they feel like they're not good enough, so they have to make up for it in other ways. So it doesn't matter when you get to the office and when you leave. It's really about what you get done. And you'll see some people, they're the first ones in the office and last ones to leave. They probably deal with some imposter syndrome. Number 5 is waiting for people to figure you out. If you think that you're waiting for people to figure out that you're not smart enough and they haven't yet, that's probably a clue that you are smart enough and that there's nothing for people to figure out. And the last, but definitely not least, is just burnout, whether it's physical, mental, or both. When you just can't take it anymore, your body is starting to shut down or tell you that it's worn down. Your mental health is not the best. Like if you're seeing signs of that, there's probably signs that you're working too hard, or you may be showing all these other symptoms, definitely signs of imposter syndrome. So this isn't all about doom and gloom, right? Imposter syndrome can actually be a strong tool to keep you motivated and to keep you challenged. But if you lean into it too much and you try to avoid thinking about it, it actually can be hurtful and harmful to your career and your mental health. So here are a few tips that I have that I use personally that maybe you can try to employ. But these are the things that I do to help me deal with imposter syndrome, because not gonna lie, I still deal with it now. It's been 17, 18 years, and I still deal with it today. I just know how to recognize it, and I know what I need to do to get past it. Here are the 5 tips. So the first one is recognize it, validate it, and then let it go. So be aware of it. Just simply be aware, like, oh, I have these feelings. I know what this is. I'm feeling inadequate, or I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. This is imposter syndrome. It's okay to feel this way, but I'm actually just going to keep working through it and let it go. It's fine to feel this way, but don't let it take over my mental state. Number 2 is focus on facts versus stories. What are the facts around what you're telling yourself? Did you just get praised in a meeting where you presented, or are your numbers up, or whatever your metrics for success are? Look at that. Don't think about the stories that we make up in our heads. Especially in this Zoom environment, this remote environment, when the camera turns off, I have those same feelings like, oh, how did that go? Like you start to have this narrative in your head of like, oh, that didn't go that well, or I must not be that smart. Oh, I didn't ask any questions. I wonder what people will think of me. It's like, those are all just stories that you're making up in your head. If no one actually told you those things and provided you that feedback, focus on the facts and don't tell yourself stories. Number 3, this usually happens in the absence of feedback. So in the absence of feedback, what you should do is go to your peers, your leader, whoever, and ask for it explicitly and check in more often. So if you start to get these feelings, every week or every month or whatever, just ask the people around you for feedback and be explicit. So is it, hey, am I hitting my numbers? Do you see any issues around me doing this? Was my creative bad? I'd love for you to talk to me through creative. Or how did that presentation go? I really love some feedback. Just those opportunities for immediate feedback will tell you the facts that you need to know if you're really not performing well or if it's just in your head. Number 4 is reframing your thoughts. This goes back to the talent versus lucky. Know that hiring managers or people brought you into the teams because you have talent. Nobody gets a job because they're lucky. Nobody goes through an interview process, especially if you have like panels. Like nowadays there's panels. No one's lucky and gets through 7 interviews through pure luck. There's talent in there involved. There's rapport. There's ways you show your skills through that process that the people that are interviewing you, it tells them that you can add value. So don't think that you're not talented or that you don't belong there. There's a reason why you were brought into the team. So change your mindset and reframe your thoughts. And lastly, tip number 5 is share how you're feeling. If this is really how you're feeling, tell your leader, tell your peers. 70% of people in the workforce deal with imposter syndrome at some point in their career, if not throughout their career. So odds are if you talk to people and share your story, they went through it too, or they're going through it now. So it'll be good to get it out there. Then you can, again, focus on the facts, talk about these things, get the feedback that you need to help either validate your stories or like actually provide the facts. So it's always great to share how you're feeling. Don't hold things in, because that's when things fester and get worse. You'll start to downward spiral. Your narratives will get worse and worse and worse. So it's never a good thing. Share how you're feeling. You can get a coach like me, or you can talk it through with your leaders or your peers, but talk about it, share your feelings. So hopefully this helps you identify the symptoms of imposter syndrome if you're feeling that way, and hopefully these tips can help you get past it. Remember, it's all about identifying it, validating it, and letting it go, and then focus on all the things that are true and not to make up stories. So hopefully this helps. I'm always here for you. I'll see you next time. Peace. Hey guys, remember, if you like this kind of content, definitely subscribe to my channel, like the video, and if you have any other ideas or questions that you have, leave them in the comments below and I'll be happy to either answer them in the comments or I can create a video specifically around your topic.